This video will cover Chapter 2, Harmonization, which begins on the bottom of page 49 and continues through page 50. So in Chapter 1, we did harmonization with the root and fifth of the triad, but in Chapter 2, we're going to be doing it with just a bass note. In this case, tonic and dominant. So the tonic is obviously going to be the first scale degree of the chord, indicated here by the capital, the Roman numeral 1, and Roman numeral 5 is the dominant. Of course, this is in the key of C major, so this example is done for you as an example. So once you've determined tonic, tonic, dominant, tonic, then we can figure out how to play it. So I can write in the finger numbers. This will be fifth finger, first finger. So left hand is just going to be 5, 5, 1, 5. Right hand, you find the parameter notes, the lowest note C. So we can just figure out the fingering. 1, 3, 3, 5, 3, 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. Start off by being comfortable with both hands independently. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Once you're comfortable there, you can begin to put it together. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and this should feel a bit easier than what we did in the first chapter. Okay, and here they're showing you that you can do the tonic, and the dominant doesn't have to be above the tonic. Maybe the dominant is below the tonic. So it's the same example, it's the same notes, but the only difference is now the dominant is lower than the tonic. In this position, you could either use second finger on the C and fifth finger on the low G, or of course you could use your first finger on the C and then your fourth finger on the G. Either is fine. It's the same melody, so let's try it this way. I'll use second finger. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and just like that. So now if we come down to the new melodies that are given in Chapter 2, they're just melodies, just like Chapter 1. So we're going to do the same strategy that we did in Chapter 1, which is we're just going to determine the key signature, then we're going to determine the whether we're going to use the 1 chord or the 5 chord. Okay? All right. So in Chapter 1, we broke it down. We did the notes of every single chord. We can do the same thing here, but I'm going to do it a little bit more quickly. If you need to break it down, feel free to. All right, so we are in the key of F major on the first example here. The 1 chord is going to be F, A, C, and the 5 chord will be C, E, G. All right, so I'm just going to use that as my guide, and then very quickly I'm going to figure it out. So I've got an A here, that's a 1 chord. I've got a G here, that's a 5 chord. I've got an A, then a G, probably a 1 chord, and then a 1 chord maybe. I could switch it if I wanted to, but I'm going to just do 1 chord per measure. And then G to G, so I'm going to call that 5 and 5. And then how about just 1 to 1? All right, so all I need to know is, well, what note am I going to play in the left hand? And since we're just doing tonic and dominant, the notes themselves, whenever I have a 1 chord, I'm going to play the note F. And every time I have a dominant, I'm going to play the note C, like that. Okay, I could do it up, down here, but I'll do it here. Okay, so I can just put my left hand in F position. 1 chords will be F, and 5 chords will be C, like that. And then I'm ready to put this together. But first, let's figure out the right hand fingering real quick. Right hand, highest note's A, lowest note's F, so it makes sense to do 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. All right, now that I have my fingerings written, this will be pretty easy. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Now the 5 is C. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Back to the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Okay. Now, if you want to do a lower 5, you can indicate it with arrows like this. I did a higher 5, so I'm just going to do an up arrow like this, above my 5s. That tells me that I'm doing 5 above the tonic. Okay. Now, let's go on to B. So again, I'm determining my key signature. My key is in G major. And my 1 chord is going to be G, B, D. And my 5 chord is going to be D, F sharp, A. All right. In this case, I might do a chord for every half measure, and as opposed to just every measure. Okay. So B, well, that's going to be a 1 chord. Here's an A. Let's call that a 5 chord. Then back to a B. That's a 1 chord. Then I have a C. We can keep it as a 1 chord. And then B, or but we could let's call the C a 5 chord, because C is in the 5/7 chord, a 7th chord. So we'll go ahead and call that a 5 just for fun. And then B is a 1 chord. And then we've got G again, which would be a 1 chord normally, but it ends on A, and we want some interest, so let's make this a 5 chord. And then back to the 1 chord. It'll still work. And in this case, let's do, just for fun, the lower 5, the lower dominant. So instead of doing lower dominant, okay, my tonic is G, so I'll use second finger on G, and the dominant is D, so it's just down here. So 2, 5 is what I'll do for my left hand. And let's go over the right hand fingering very quickly. Highest note is C, lowest note is G, so this is in G position. 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's do this. So my left hand, second finger on G, fifth finger on D, right hand on G position, starting with third finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going to example C. Our key is in D major. And the 1 chord is going to be D, F sharp, A, and the 5 chord is going to be A, C sharp, E. It starts on F sharp. We'll just use a 1 chord for the first measure, 1 chord in the second measure, and let's do a 5 chord here since we have an E, and stay on a 5 chord for the E, and then resolve to the 1 chord on the final half note, like this. And we'll just go back up to the upper dominant. Okay. So that means my left hand will be fifth finger on D, first finger on A. Very simple, D position. And for my right hand, let's determine the fingering. The highest note is F sharp, lowest note is D, so D position, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And we're ready to play this. Left hand is D position. Right hand's D position, starting on F sharp, third finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. And we have 2 more examples here on the top of page on the top of page 51. Let's look at those. All right, so we look at our key signature. We are in the key of E major. And in E major, the 1 chord is going to be E, G sharp, and B. And the 5 chord is going to be B, D sharp, F sharp. And let's determine our chords. So first bar, 1 chord. Second bar, we have an F sharp and an A, so we'll call that a 5 chord. Next chord's a 1 chord. And then we have an F sharp here, let's call that a 5 chord, and back to a 1 chord. And just for variation, let's do the lower 5 again, the lower dominant. So left hand, second finger on E, fifth finger on B for the lower dominant, just like that. And now the right hand fingering. It's just an E pentascale position, so 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1. And now we're ready to play it. Right hand in E, pentascore chord position, and left hand, second finger on E, fifth finger on the dominant B. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one sharp, so we're in the key of G major. Okay, and the G major 1 chord again is G, B, D, and the 5 chord is D, F sharp, and A. Let's determine our chords. 1 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord because of the A, back to the 1 chord. 1 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord because of the A, and back to the 1 chord. Very simple. And we'll do again the upper dominant, so it's just going to be G and D like that, or we can do it up an octave. Let's determine the fingering for the right hand. Highest note is B, lowest note is G, so it's just 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Let's play it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.